It's a perfect situation.
Hello, this is Liz. Welcome to my little urban homestead. Preserving food, pressure canning. Now, the tools for pressure canning are basically exactly the same as for water bath canning, apart from the canner itself. You need a specific pressure canner, not pressure cooker, because you cannot can food in a pressure cooker. The heat distribution and everything, the bits that I can't put in layman's terms don't work right. So you need a pressure canner. Now you can use your pressure canner as a pressure cooker, but you cannot use your pressure cooker as a canner. Now there are one or two makes, the All American, which is the all singing, all dancing, big heavy thing, and expensive. So especially for here in the UK, Presto is the one that we go for. There is a lot cheaper, but I'm not sure if there is anywhere in the UK that do sell new Presto pressure canners, but you can get them imported from the US. The only thing is the shipping cost tends to cost as much as a canner does itself. So if you see a canner for say £80, you've got to reckon on £160 for that canner, because the amount it's going to cost to ship it over to you. It could be more, it could be less, but that's a general rule, is double price. There are some people I know that have actually been able to buy second-hand canners in the UK. A friend of mine on Facebook, towards the end of last year, got a 16-quart Presto pressure canner that had only been used a couple of times, and she got it with the trivet and the jiggler and everything. So it is possible to find them, but they are rare. Now, one or two people may wonder about how much water do I put in it. Do I have to put in more water because it's going for 75 or 90 minutes? Check the manual. If you do buy it second hand and it comes without a manual, then go on Google, put in the make and model of the canner that you bought. That'll bring up a manual, and then you can look in the manual and find out how much water should go in your pressure canner. Both mine, the 23-quart and the 16-quart, both manuals have said I put in 3 quarts of water. That's a quart jar. So 3 of those water in the bottom of it. And that's what I have done since I've been canning about 10 years. And even when I've been canning meat in pint jars, in the 23-quart canner, I've got 18 jars in there in total, no, between 16 and 18, stacked, and they've been going for 75 minutes. I still have water in the bottom of it, so they've not boiled dry. So that is sufficient water for the 16 or the 23-quart. But check your manual. Right, I'll now move the camera so you can look at my 16 quart canner, which is there. I'll bring it over to the table. This is my 16 quart canner, exactly the same as my 23, apart from the 23 is higher so I can double stack pints. This is how I store it, with the top down, because when I first had it I relied on the dial. It was all nice shiny new. Now it isn't, because it's been well used. You can clean them up, the watermarks are inside, you can get rid of them, but they're not harmful to the canning process or the canner, and for me that's extra work I don't want to do. So I just wipe it down with a cloth, that's all. It is looking a bit more beat up now, so I might give it a really good clean. Might. But your canner, you will see on one of the handles there is an arrow there. If you look on the lid here, you can see an arrow. When you were putting your lid on after you filled it up with water and produce and everything, well, not filled it up with water, put the correct amount of water in, put your produce in, then what you do is line this arrow up with the arrow that's on the handle. So you just put them so they're lined, and you can feel that it naturally wants to slot in place. Once you've got it to that stage, what it suggests in my manual is slightly press down while you are turning it, and that now locks it in place. You cannot take the lid off unless you twist it. So this is how it is when it's ready for going on there, when it's ready for going on your stovetop. Mine, I relied on the pressure gauge, and it came with this regulator, which when it's boiling inside and had its venting time, it goes on top, and you wait until the dial comes up to whatever pressure that recipe requires. For my altitude, it's mainly 11 pounds of pressure. So when the dial came up to 11 pounds of pressure, that's when I would slowly lower the heat, maintain the 11 pounds of pressure, and put my timer on for however long. I've now changed from this, and I use the weighted pressure gauge, which means I can ignore this. Now I'll go through the different gauges and the regulator. Now I'll do it now. Now this is the weighted pressure gauge, and it's got just one of the weights on at the moment, and that's now 10 pound of pressure. But when you buy these, they come with 2 weights on, which is 15 pound of pressure. I don't need that much, I only need 10, and that goes on so I can ignore that, and it jiggles around, and it's I was so worried about it that it took me a while to get round to buying it, and I love them. I've got 2 weighted pressure gauges, so that on the occasions that I do have both canners going, I can have them both weighted. And these weighted pressure gauges are better for us here in the UK, because you're supposed to get this pressure gauge checked. Now, Lurch rigged something up and we could check that ourselves. Tire pressure places might be able to do it, so we were able to test it ourselves. But I thought, jiggler, I'll get a jiggler for it, and I am so glad I did, because now I can ignore that. We don't have to keep checking it now and again, because I rely on this. That's it for canners, pressure canners at the moment. I might get, I probably will go through more in depth next week, but that's for pressure canners at the moment. Bye.
It's a